Can somebody explain something to me? I thought Kirk Herbstreit hated West Virginia, but apparently not. He loves us now.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking about the Mountaineers again today on the football side of things. Hope you enjoyed your happiest day of the year, the start of college football. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. Oh, man, what a slugfest between Iowa State today and Kansas State. That was a wild game, man. Unfortunately, my pick to win the league already lost the game at Kansas State, but it's a long season, and I think we know how much different a team can look after their first Power 5 game. So I'm really not too worried yet, but we'll continue to monitor it. Maybe Iowa State's a lot better than people thought. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. And when it comes to FanDuel right now, football season is around the corner, literally 7 days away for us. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. An update on the Fresno State-Kansas game. That is a 14-7 game in the first quarter. So that's another game we'll have to get back to in a minute. So here we go. So let's start where we want to start here. Obviously, we're going to talk about Kirk Herbstreit. And, obviously, if you didn't know, he gave Rich Rodriguez an award today. So there's that part of it. But I also want to talk about this narrative shift around Kirk Herbstreit in West Virginia, because it just seems like not even a few years ago, I got the vibe that he didn't believe in our program, or he didn't like us, or something, right? Like I got that vibe for years. Maybe it's overblown because of the one quote from Clemson's game where he said they're going to destroy West Virginia. Maybe it gets a little overblown. I know he picked us against us in other games during those years, but that was a long time ago. He has really been on the Richrod train. I do have a theory for this, but we'll get there in a minute. If you're not familiar with what happened today, let's share the screen with you guys, and I'll play some audio for those of you listening to something that happened today for Rich Rodriguez from Kirk Herbstreit.
The Herbie Award for Best Head Coach Hire goes to West Virginia head coach Rich Rodriguez.
Corso's philosophy was based on you have to do something opposite if you change coaches. West Virginia, they went back to what worked and what was familiar 17 years ago.
No doubt about it. And I think we talked about intensity of Tom Allen. We know what Richrod's going to do. And how about him with his press conferences? We got a character back in the limelight, which I just love to see. He's just very direct. He's like, they got everything here. If you guys, we got an ice cream place back here. We got sprinkles. We got it all. These guys got more than they need. So he's going to be a lot of fun.
I hate that it gets cut off there, but yeah. So I missed that. I forgot all about the Herbie Awards today or yesterday or whenever this was. But Rich Rod gets a Herbie Award for Best New Head Coaching Hire. And so I thought, I'll do a little segment on that because I have some thoughts on it. We all remember, like I said, when he said once Clemson was going to destroy us in the 2012 Orange Bowl, but now he's singing Rich Rod's praises. So what do you think's going on here? Is this a genuine change of heart, or is Kirk maybe trying to cozy up to Pat McAfee in the Mountaineer fan base? Let's break it down. So obviously the Herbie, if you don't know what a Herbie Award is, he gives the Herbie Awards have been going on for a long time now. He's got an annual preseason accolades thing called the Herbie Awards. And it's just like any other, show like that. You give out different trophies or awards for different things. And best new head coaching hire goes to West Virginia's Rich Rodriguez. So it's a big deal for us, I think, because Rich Rod's returned to Morgantown has reignited hope. And I think Herbstreit's nod signals a shift in the national view of West Virginia, right? I think that's a big deal. Obviously, the Orange Bowl prediction lives on in infamy. You know, probably I would say in this era, another reason that he got it is, in my opinion anyway, old school coaches are fewer and far between, right? That's just what it is. I think Richrod signals a kind of a comeback for that, right? He's more of an old school guy. And I think Kirk Herbstreit appreciates that, considering, you know, he came up in Ohio State during a pretty tough era as well. So, yeah, I would say absolutely that's a part of this and something to keep monitoring because, listen, if we've got these voices on our side, guys, it can help change our program around from the outside looking in. It really matters. Like, whether we want to admit it or not, and whether you care personally or not, doesn't matter, because the national narrative is a big deal. And Herbstreit does love a redemption story. I mean, you know, it's an 18-year absence. Controversial 2007 departure happened. And so his recent comments on College Game Day about West Virginia deserving a spotlight suggests he's kind of buying into hope here, the hype. So is Pat McAfee's influence happening here? Is he cozying up to Pat McAfee, who is a legend, his ESPN colleague, who's obviously vocal about being a Mountaineer pride guy? Absolutely. I think that's a part of it. Biases happen. And now that Pat McAfee is, I do think he and Herbstreit are pretty good friends. I mean, if you just watch their chemistry on camera, it kind of reminds me of, Herbstreit's probably in his 50s, Pat's in his 30s. The age difference isn't huge, but there is a pretty big difference in culture, right? I mean, Herbstreit's, I would say he's a younger 50s, whatever he is. He's probably 50. I don't know how old Herbstreit is. How old is Herbstreit? I'm just guessing he's in his 50s. Hold on, let's see. Kirk Herbstreit age. Yeah, he's 56, so he's almost 60 years old. He definitely doesn't look it. Now, you can say that's plastic surgery or whatever, but I'd say anybody'd sign up to look like that at 56. But obviously, he's trying to look cool, right, and be cool around Pat and them guys and fit in. And I totally get that. I don't blame anybody for wanting to do that. It's going to be interesting to see how much influence Pat has over people's thoughts on us now, because they want to stay on Pat's good side, right? Pat's going to rule the world before it's over with, So, I mean, and his job is to make bold calls too. So, and he's not afraid to be wrong, So I think it's partially about McAfee, but I also think that he really likes Coach Rod. So congratulations on Coach Rod for getting that Herbie Award. I think it's pretty cool. Definitely deserving for sure. All right, let's go to break. We got a couple things left planned here. The Hall of Fame class it was announced yesterday. I just want to go over those initially. And then we're going to go over this roster and talk about some important players that I don't want to say they're sleepers. I don't want to say they're dark horses either. I just want to point out a couple guys that I feel like are going to be important to this year's team and talk about why. We'll do it next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by none other than FanDuel, guys. And we're talking about FanDuel. We're talking about doing it big as always. And doing it big always is something that I am a fan of, especially on FanDuel. Right now on FanDuel, guys, football season is around the corner. And a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches is right around the corner as well. Just for 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL predictions, season predictions. So whether you're calling for your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. Your moment. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now because, look, Futures Day is one day and one day only, and you can only do that at FanDuel. Play your game. It's segment 2. Let's crack open a do, y'all, and jump straight into the Hall of Fame class that was announced yesterday. Or maybe it was the day before. I had to go check, but I have some thoughts on this. I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but timing wasn't right. There are some people I'm going to gloss over a little bit. I don't mean no disrespect. This is a football and basketball channel, so while I'll mention the others because I think they deserve that respect, I'm not going to spend any time breaking them down. Chelsea Carrier, Eads, track and field. Obviously, she was an All-American. I remember when she was there. She dominated multiple events. Absolutely deserves it. Coach Bill, I'm a big fan of him. Obviously, he's one of the winningest assistants in WVU football history. He served 32 years under multiple coaches. He coached in 23 bowl games. He was obviously around for that Orange Bowl win that we just got into talking about. He is a D-line coach, and he's mentored 5 All-Americans. Dingle, Irvin. Shoot, I should have wrote them down. Okay. Johnny Dingle, Bruce Irvin, Chris Neild. Not Daryl Talley. John Thornton, and one other guy. So he's been a really good coach for us over the years. If you look at footballscoop.com, he was the National Defensive Line Coach of the Year after Bruce Irvin's insane season back in 2010. And his defenses have led the Big East in rushing and scoring defense 4 times. And standout seasons in 1996 and others. Like, he was been such a good contributing coach to the Mountaineers, obviously. Decades in impact of elite defensive units, and has a role in really shaping the golden era of West Virginia sports, guys. So that's just me on that. If you look at Pat McAfee, obviously this was a huge deal. Pennsylvania native, but you wouldn't know it, right? Record-setting kicker and punter, and now probably one of the biggest stars in all of media. He was an All-American at West Virginia, CBS first team, Walter Camp second team, and an AP third team. And he was the Ray Guy Award finalist and Lou Groza Award finalist. So, he was right there. He was in the elite class for both punting and kicking. And he set West Virginia records for the most games played, scoring, kick scoring, and extra points made. It's going to be tough to break his records. He holds Big East records for points made and ranks high in scoring and punting average at 43.7 yards. He did hit 2 50-yard field goals in 2008, including a 52-yarder to force overtime against Cincy and a 51-yarder at Pitt in 2006, which is the longest in Finance Field history, college. He played in 4 bowl wins as well, which the 06 Sugar, the 07 Gator, the 08 Fiesta, and the 08 Car Care, 09 Car Care. And obviously had that, most people would say a borderline Hall of Fame NFL career as well with 2 Pro Bowls there. So, he was a clutch performer. He was a record setter. He's larger than life. He's the biggest fan of West Virginia publicly that we know about, and absolutely deserving of all the love and praise that he gets. No doubt about it, man. On to Bill Stewart. Obviously, this one hits really, really hard in the feels. I shed a little tear yesterday looking at some Bill Stewart stuff. It just sucks. Why it hits me hard, y'all? My dad died at 53 years old. So it's just a really young age when you really think about it. I'm pretty sure Bill Stewart he was 59 when he passed. So, that's a young age to go. Obviously, if you looked at Bill, he looked like he was in good shape. I mean, I wouldn't say he was in Richrod kind of shape where he's this thin, But I mean, he was a little heavy at times, but not really. Not really. I feel like he was kind of just built differently. So I never felt like he was just out of shape guy. So for him to go for a heart attack, those are shocking. But overall, Coach Stu is just an amazing guy. And I feel like the fact that we lost him so early and the way things played out with Dana and everything, it was just unfortunate. He underperformed with some of the best teams we had, but I don't think it was necessarily his fault as much as Jeff Mullins. And I know a lot of people believe the same way as me on that. But yeah, so obviously he deserves to be in. Obviously the Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl win was one of the greatest program victories ever right after the Pitt loss. He was 28-12 and had a 700 winning percentage, which is top 5 in West Virginia history. He had 3 straight 9-winning seasons, so it wasn't like they were terrible, but I feel like we could have been better. He coached 30 all Big East players, including Pat White, who is the NCAA's all-time leading rusher for a quarterback. He also saw 18 players drafted to the NFL and finished top 25 teams in 08 and 09. And obviously he was 8 years as an assistant under Don Nealon and Rich Rodriguez. So he was the quarterback special teams coach. He was on that Music City Bowl winning team. And he was a big proponent. The Leave No Doubt speech is obviously iconic, maybe the most iconic speech in the history of the school. And that was before that Oklahoma legendary game over the Sooners where we dominated them 48-28. So Daryl Whitmore, obviously a 2-sport star, baseball and football, loved him. When obviously I was young when he was playing, but I mean, when you look back on some of the guys, he was such a good player. And somebody that gets lost in lore for sure. Then you got Petra Zablasing, rifle. So she's an Italy native, and she's the only 3-time individual NCAA rifle champion at West Virginia. So very much a winner and absolutely earned her spot. So this 2025 class is definitely, for me, a testament to the excellence of West Virginia athletics. We've got track stars. We've got baseball and football dual sport stars. We've got an excellent NFL guy with Bruce Irvin and Pat McAfee. We've got one of the largest voices in the history of media in Pat McAfee. We've got Bill Stewart, who is one of the just greatest. He was the nice guy before Neil Brown ever was the nice guy. Neil Brown probably couldn't even snip his jock strap when it comes to being a nice guy. And that's how nice Bill Stewart's known to be. So really, really appreciative of all these 4. And I just wanted to do a little tribute to them. We go to break. On the other side, y'all, we're going to look at the roster. We're probably going to look at some tape. We're going to have some fun and do what we do on this channel. Let's talk about some players that can break out for the Mountaineers that maybe aren't obvious. We do it next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by Ruiette. Are you Ruiette ready? You got to get there, y'all, because you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, and maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Ruiette Ready. Ruiette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Ruiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast. On average, 15 minutes, actually. Effects can last up to 36 hours, y'all. So you can stay confident in and control when the moment is right for you. If traditional methods haven't worked, Ruiette might be your answer because over 150,000 men have already made the switch. You can even read real customer reviews on their site, and it's definitely helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment today. Head to Ruiette.com/LockedOnCollege. That's use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off today. Individual results are going to vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Ruiette website for full safety information. It's segment 3. What's up, y'all? Let's dive in to the West Virginia roster again. One of my favorite subjects in life is looking at this roster before we head to the season. And there's so much to love about it and break down about it. And, I love making some predictions and talking about guys that we just haven't mentioned a lot on the show. I think Eddie Kelly's somebody that we haven't talked about on the show a lot. I mean, really, truly, and honestly, he's the guy that gets just very little publicity for whatever reasons. Obviously, he comes out of Missouri as a Power 5 monster. But the thing about him is, like, you can't find any damn tape on the guy. I don't even look in the replies for it. And I mean, as you see, like, there's hardly ever any here. So it's an interesting thing. His true freshman year in South Florida was a good one. By freshman standards. I mean, but he's really grown into a good player. What is this here? Yeah, that's what I thought. It was just a little tape of him, but obviously he's a guy that's going to be a factor for West Virginia. He's going to play a lot. He's going to have a ton of snaps on that defensive line. And I think he's a guy that he could be anything from all Big 12 to all Big 12 honorable mention to just another cog in the machine that rotates in and out. Like, I could see him being all three of those. He doesn't have a ton of production coming in from Missouri. Like, if you look at his bio, he played a lot there. He's 6'5", 288, so that's a really big D end. I mean, definitely should be a run-stopping defensive end. In 37 career games, he's compiled 77 tackles, which is quite a bit. That's pretty good, over 37 games for a D end. Only 2.5 sacks, right? 11 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery, and 3 quarterback pressures. So it's safe to say this guy's not really a pass rusher. He can do it. He's not incapable. But is he Jamori Robinson, where he had 90 quarterback pressures in one season? No. Is he even an Oxley? No, I don't think he is. But he is the kind of defensive end that you put on your line, and he clogs up gaps. He sets the edge, and I say it all the time. He's just like a Sean Martin, right? That's exactly what he reminds me of. He's a Sean Martin, or he is a Taj Austin type player. The big 6'4", 6'5", 280, 290-pound defensive end that is not your pass rushing defensive end as much as your run stopping and can occasionally get into the backfield. So then again, maybe Zach Alley's defense unlocks him and he ends up being a monster in the game. If you look at last year at Missouri alone, he 20 tackles, 1 sack, 4.5 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups, and 1 quarterback pressure. That's pretty good. I mean, I think you would take that from him this year. Would like to see him do more. Excuse me. But I think at the end of the day, man, this is somebody that is right there on that borderline where he could be a multitude of different things. He's on this kind of upward trajectory in his career. And I definitely wouldn't count him out to be a guy that makes an impact, this year. I wouldn't say major, but I do think he can make one. Michael Coates is rated the number one Big 12 and the number one corner in the Big 12, guys. I saw that earlier today. That was pretty cool. Somebody gave him a 95 grade. He continues to garner all this affection. And Michael Coates is a guy that preseason-wise, as far as I'm concerned, has first-team All Big 12 written all over him and potentially has All-American potential. But West Virginia has to win some games for that to happen. You guys know I love Jordan Walker. He had an interception in practice the other day. In my opinion, he'll be one of the starting safeties. And I love this dude. I think he's a great player. You guys know how I feel about Max Brown as well at quarterback. Let's go. Let's check out some of his tape today. I think he would be a fun one to watch because we've watched his tape a few different times. I mean, it's not like we haven't. If you haven't seen the uniform, this is it right here. So he is pretty cool looking guy, actually. I like the hair. He's got a little swag to him. He's got a little something different to him. And if you look at him here, arm talent is that's 55 yards down the field in a pirouette. He's just joking around for these, obviously, the different arm angles. We saw him throw a touchdown in practice the other day that was amazing. I'm going to try to find that as well. I wonder if he's got it on his page. I wonder if he reposted it. That would be cool if he did. It doesn't look like he did, though. I'm kind of surprised, honestly. Maybe he reposted it, though, in his replies. I'm not seeing it. That just lets you know, like, he must be locked in, dude. He must not have much ego. Because there was a video of him throwing an absolute bomb that they put in on. That's pretty cool looking there. But that they put in on the West Virginia tape. So before we do that, I want to show you guys that piece of tape. So let's see. Let's go to West Virginia football. And I don't know how far I'm going to have to go back to find it. Hopefully not too far. Because it's just a video, I remember, of him throwing a big deep ball. So let's see if I can find it. I know it wasn't super long ago. Is it on this one? No. I actually don't think it is. Here it is. Found it. So, yeah, this is him, number 6. So look at this toss from Max Brown. When I told you guys the other day, and I think some people laughed at me for it, which I understand why. If we are a passing only team, you can make a case that Max Brown might be your best option because he's got the most arm talent of all the quarterbacks. But I'm not saying he's the best decision maker. I've said this up multiple times. From a pure throwing standpoint, he's the best from my study. Nico's really good. He's not this good. Jalen can be really good at times. He's not this good. Scotty Fox is on his way to being this good. And so is the other Max Anderson. So we got some dudes who can sling it around, but this guy here is very polished as a thrower. And look at this throwing motion, and then look at this freaking everything about it. We'll try to slow it down here. Yeah, you get a pretty good look at it right here. So there's that 3/4 arm motion that he uses, right? So we'll play it in full go here. Just an absolute dime spiral, right? Just an absolute dime right there, man. I mean, it's a perfect spiral. And right on the money, I would say. So, and that's 88, which is Michael Urban's number, which, I mean, that's, oh, you guys aren't seeing it. I apologize. Let me get it pulled up here. I guess it didn't go with me when I took you guys over, did it? All right, let's try it again. I can see people in the thing telling me we can't see it. All right, so there we go. So one more time. Excellent throw, right? And like I said here, it's the 3/4 arm motion. Love that release. He's got that claw just like they want you to have. Look at the trajectory of the ball. It's already pointed, and he's driving that thing, man. And this is just an excellent throw. Man, who did he beat that bad? I would love to see the number of the person he beat so bad. That's Jordan McCants, by the way, guys. I told you guys about him the other day. He's a guy I have a lot of faith in as well. I don't know if he'll be able to do it this year because of the depth in the receiving room, but McCants can really run as well. But who the hell – wonder what the corner is on this play that gets beat this bad. I bet if we let it roll, maybe we'll see it here in a second. Boom, there it is. Number 37. Who is 37? 37 got absolutely abused just now. Oh, Jaden Bell. Jaden Bell got abused by Max Brown and company. Absolutely abused. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, James. I didn't mean to mess up, buddy. Sometimes navigating all these screens because whenever you go from one screen to the next, it doesn't always go with you for some reason. So let's go back to Max Brown's page again and just have a look-see at some things that when you're evaluating this kid or this man, this dude, maybe I'll start saying dude more often. That may be better. Let's just go back to the roster. Or no, that ain't gonna work either. You know what? We'll just do it from here. That's all right. We'll just do it we'll just go back here. We'll go back here again. Okay, so boom, there we are. All right, we're back on Mad Max's page here, and here are the Florida highlights. All right. We can't watch those, but we get to a point here where here's where it's practice stuff. So, boom, I think this is the first one that's just practice. You're talking about practice. So, this is Max Brown starting quarterback for Florida, It's a pretty big deal against Florida State. I mean, or is he going to face a defense that's good this year at West Virginia? I would say it would be hard. This is a really good Florida State team he played this year. This was the year they won 11 games, I believe. And then Jordan Travis got hurt, and he got left out at the very end. But, I mean, you can see here, like, one thing he does too often, in my opinion, is he throws off his back foot, which you see here. But he's got so much arm talent that he's still able to do so. That's not a great throw. I mean, you can see he's moving backwards and he's falling left when he throws that. And I mean, it causes the ball to be inaccurate to the point to where the receiver has to go back and catch it. But as far as like the release, the way it looks and everything, it's pretty dang pretty. He's got all these different arm angles that he can use. He got some velocity on it. When he actually steps up and into a throw, it's impressive, just like that. I mean, that is an absolutely elite throw. We don't have a guy on our roster that can do this, that can just flick it like that. Watch him just flick it. You can see him literally layer it in there. Like, this isn't drilling it in there. This isn't like Garrett Green would have done. No offense to Garrett Green. This is literally, okay, I need to throw it this hard and doing it because of muscle memory. And putting it in a spot only his guy could get it. I mean, this is just such an insanely good throw. Just a little flick and just boom, right there on the freaking money, dude, against an SEC defense. Here he is running the same kind of there's one heck of a juke move. Oh, by the way, and to beat it all, he can run. I think he's a huge sleeper for us. I hope he gets some snaps against Robert Morris because I want to see how he looks. Obviously, his decision-making is a big issue in the past, and I think that's one of the only reasons that I think he's going to have issues at West Virginia. But, if you're talking about just throwing the thing around, man, there's nobody we got that can throw it this well. I mean, you look at him when he's moving do I need to say any more? That is, by any standard or measure, on the difficulty scale, it's probably an 8.5 out of 10. You're shaded over to the right hash. And I bet this thing probably goes, I bet this thing's traveling 65, 67, maybe 68 miles an hour. Like, he's got a gun on him. Keep in mind, Brett Favre and guys like that were right there and said the 69, 70 mile an hour range. I would say he's probably more like 65-ish, but still a really strong arm. And like whenever he's able to shuffle left and then just step into this thing and rip it. And look at the velocity on this ball. That is a BB, son, and an NFL throw. I mean, we ain't got a guy that can do quite that. They can all make that throw, but I don't know, man. That's a heck of a throw from Maxey. Here he is here again, and I mean, this is he started at Florida, and then you see he can do that as well. Like he can run this offense. I get excited about him. I know he's not the starter, and I know he's not the second string guy either, but I do think that if he can next year, I think he could be scary for us because his second year in the offense as a decision maker, because as a passer, he's just so gifted. I mean, look at that throw. I mean, these are insane throws. You got a guy at your feet, you're off balance, you're moving to your left, everything you're taught not to do, and he literally has such good arm talent from different arm angles. Like, it might be Winston Wright, actually. Look at it, it's kind of funny, but no, it's not. This is before Winston Wright got there, or maybe the year he got there. I can't remember, but he's letting this thing loose right now, right as he starts to cut. But I mean, look at that throwing motion. I mean, look at how he's standing right here. Wild. And just an absolute accurate dot. It's pretty crazy stuff. On a read option, right? I mean, he gave him everything he needed to see here, right? The defensive end just crashed on down. So, sure, I'll keep that. And he's got plenty enough. And he's got some agility, too. He can juke a little. Here's more of that arm strength. I mean, come on, man. That is an absolute missile down the field. I mean, this dude's got whoever that is beat really bad, but I mean, he puts that thing in the bread basket. He couldn't have dropped it any better in. And then you look at him from a running standpoint, and he's really good. I would say he's probably about Nico's speed, maybe a little slower. But I mean, he's definitely very capable of running this Richrod offense for sure. Whoever number 11 is, he abuses them dudes in practice every day. Is that Tank? I'm thinking, is that Tank, y'all, from West Virginia, state of West Virginia? It might be. I never even thought about that. But yeah, here he's making checks to the line. That's pretty cool. I don't know if they were telling him to or not, but some of these throws are just masterclass throws. And here's what I love. He was running this offense. I mean, this is what he's going to do in Richrod's offense. This is it right here. This is going to be a simple play he does in Richrod's offense, right? You're going to read the defensive end, and he's got such a quick first step that he that's what makes him in my opinion, what makes a quarterback in the read option dangerous is the ability for that quick first step. That's what you got to have. You got to have a quick first step. Speed matters too. Obviously, if you got it, great. But just being able to beat that first guy and get up the field for 5 or 10 yards, that way you can keep the momentum of the offense going. That's all the kid they had last year was able to do. He could rip off 15 or 20 yards like this. He'd rip off plays like this last year. Huff did. We should watch some Jacksonville State highlights sometime. They're actually really fun. But, yeah, so here's Max Brown, obviously. And this is against an SEC defensive end, right? An SEC defense. And you can see here he's got more than enough speed.
In a big game.
20 yards down the field.
Really impressive throws by Brown here in the first quarter.
he's getting praised by the main crew there. Impressive throws in the first quarter. He's got that. He's got that in his bag for sure to do. Oh my God, there he is again, man. If you want him to throw to his left, an absolute arm cannon for that. Here he is on the read option. The defensive end crashes in. He's got the running back and the tight end on him. He's being spied by 89. So as you can see, this tight end is wide open. All this field right here. Watch him drive that thing in there. I mean, and look at that form. Perfect stride, perfect leg drive on it. Because they tell you to keep your toe on the ground. And just a quick release, like everything you could possibly need out of a quarterback. I would love to see him get a shot, but I don't think I worry about his decision making. I know I've said that a couple times, but unfortunately he's a gunslinger, right? So you're going to get bad and good with that. But if you need a guy that's accurate to come in, this might be your guy. I don't know. There's a lot to it that I would love to know more about. I would love to have seen some of the practices, but I just want to get you guys ready for Max Brown because I do think we have three guys. Well, we can disagree, Edward. I don't think Nico's a better thrower than Max Brown is. I think he's definitely really good. Max Brown's got an NFL arm. He doesn't have an NFL mind. That's in my opinion, the thing that's holding him back, which is why Jamarcus Russell and guys that had the best arms in NFL history didn't work out, is because obviously, it's a thinking man's position. And if you're not able to grasp the concepts and digest them quickly and get the ball to the place it needs to go, and also, decision-making on like when to throw it away, when to not to throw it away, when to check it down, when not to check it down, when to take a chance, when not to take a chance. There's such an insane feel to the game. And if you're not, like Neil Brown, who was very data-driven and analytical, I think the feel to the game is the way Richrod coaches. I think the marriage of both is probably the best way, but, I'd like to be consulted on what it thinks the best play is. But sometimes your gut tells you different. Similarly at quarterback, right? You've got to know the percentages. You got to know different parts of the field that are hot for who. Like this receiver really does well in this area of the field, or this against this concept. There's so much you have to know as a college and NFL quarterback. It's literally harder than most math, right? Like it's harder than algebra. Like I tell this to people all the time. Learning, if you listen to everybody ever heard of John Gruden play call? I'm just curious if anybody's ever heard one. I know it's off topic, but let's see if we can find a good one really quick. John Gruden play call. Let's see if we can find one. Here we go. Here's one. This is how hard it is. Now, this is at the highest level. I'm not going to say it's like this in college, although some get this way. This is like probably this is what an NFL quarterback gets. A lot of times you give them two plays, you can kill one or use the other, and they all mean different shit. But check out this play call.
Scatter to west, right, tight, F left, 372 Y stick, Z spot.
Here we go. Scatter to west, right, tight, F left, 382 Y stick.
Christ. Just go scatter to west, right, tight, F left, 372 Y stick, Z spot.
Here we go. Scattered. Say it again.
Scatter to west, right, tight, F left, 372 Y stick, Z spot.
Here we go. Scattered to
west, right, tight.
Scatter to west, right, tight, F left. 372
Y stick, Z spot.
Z spot. I'm already break.
Christ.
The playbook is insanely difficult.
Christ. Just go scatter to west, right, tight, F left. 372 Y stick, Z spot.
Here we go. Scatter.
So, obviously all those different nuances and things mean something different for every position group on the field. But man, like Gruden's an
He has
ingenious
72
at offense.
protection. I'm okay until they get to that damn double.
So I love the Gruden stuff. I know he's not popular with
15,
everybody. I know he's not popular with everybody.
Counter, naked right. Let's go red right slot, zebra right. Fake 15 counter, naked right. Let's go halfback, far west right, slot, 200 jet, Z deep out. On set, ready? No sacks down here. Be smart. All right, here we go.
Yeah, John Gruden's a legend, man. I know that he had a rough. He's a lot like Richrod, though. You know, like he's a no bull crap kind of guy. Anyways, point is, this quarterback's a hard position to play. You heard that quarterback struggling to get the plays. That's what it's like, man. You got a coach yelling at you. You're getting paid to do this. You know, you need to be good at it. And it caused a lot of pressure, and pressure busts pipes, as they say. And I think that's happened to Max Brown at Charlotte. If you look at his numbers at Charlotte, then we got to go. Let's go back to Max Brown again. So at Charlotte, his numbers were, I don't understand why it took me there. Back out. Let me try this again. Full bio. Okay. So last year at Charlotte, redshirt sophomore, by the way. Keep in mind, he started in 5 games at Florida as a redshirt freshman, right? So he is still pretty young. At last year at Charlotte, you know, he played in 5 games, but he had 43 of 93 passes for 561 yards, 3 touchdowns. So he's thrown a bunch of interceptions as well, but it doesn't show that for whatever reason. I'm assuming because maybe it looks bad for him. I'm assuming because this is the West Virginia website, but let's look at. Let me see if we can pull it up on Google here. Max Brown quarterback career stats. All right. Should be a little different now. Yeah. So yeah, he had 6 interceptions at Charlotte. I'm not trying to down the kid at all. I'm really not. Right. But like you had on 93 passes last year at Charlotte, you had 3 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So that's worrisome as hell, right? Now, did he have a bad team? Maybe so. You know, maybe he didn't have a great team around him and he had to force things. I don't know the ins and outs of it. He's also young. It's also his first year in an offense. Like there's a multitude of reasons it could have been. I'm just curious in a Richrod offense what he could do because he's so talented. Just keep that in mind. All right, guys, let's jump off of here. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team every single day. I had fun on this one, guys. I'll probably do another one here in a little bit. I'm in the mood. I'd like to talk a little more about the roster. It's my favorite thing to do, as you know. Maybe we'll try to put it together a depth chart or something for fun, or maybe I'll have you guys vote on a depth chart. Maybe that'll be fun. Yeah, that's what we'll do. I'm going to go on X and try to get everybody to vote on a depth chart. We'll do that and then come back in an hour. I'll see you guys then. Make sure to check out Locked On Portal with Brian Smith, who does an excellent job over there. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out.